Welcome everybody to Go Local Live, a special segment here at 12:30 with Bob Whitcomb, extraordinaire, our columnist, former editorial page editor at the Providence Journal, and before that, a reporter with the International Herald and the Wall Street Journal. Bob, thank you so much for joining us.
Actually, I was an editor there, Josh, but I did write too. The Herald Trombones in the Walloon Street Journal.
I am corrected. Welcome. Let's start with the most obvious, unmissable. President Donald Trump suggested that one way people could treat themselves was to consume household cleaning products. Dr. Fine was on.
Myself, I usually mix it with Coke or something.
Yeah, Dr. Fine was on earlier. He said he had not seen the research that the president was referencing. He had not seen any peer reviews to that. Have we hit?
It doesn't exist.
Have we hit just the?
I think it's wonderful. I mean, where is H.L. Mencken? But you were mentioning Chris Cuomo's wife bathing in bleach.
That's what there are reports to. But where's Joe Biden? You know, we had on two top political scientists this week, Jennifer Lawless and then David Sirota, who was speechwriter for Bernie Sanders. Both of them said, where's Joe Biden in this election cycle?
I know, where is he? Is he going to have his vice presidential choice do all his campaigning? You know, I sort of thought of that. I mean, I know Biden a little bit. He wouldn't remember me, but I used to cover him in Delaware many moons ago, and he's very personable. He's very charming. How do I put this? He will never be invited to be a scholar at the Institute for Advanced Study. And he's old, unfortunately. Trump is old too, and Trump is obese. But having said that, Joe Biden is about 4 years older than Trump, and that could be an issue. So I think what Biden has to do very quickly, he ought to name his vice presidential running mate very soon. Apparently it's going to be a woman. Apparently there's pressure to name a black woman, and get that person out there campaigning for him as fast as he can. The other thing, some people, Republicans, even sort of no Trump, never Trump Republicans and Democrats have suggested he should name much of his cabinet too.
Yeah.
Get them out there to speak, because he's still, I think it's a great bit. Where is he? You know, where is he? Casey does these sort of Skype and things, kind of like what we're doing from his cellar or something in Wilmington. I don't know where.
From his basement, yeah. Jennifer Lawless pointed that out. He's got to get out of the basement. Not the most effective strategy.
Where am I? You know what light to look at, all this stuff. So he's a very charming guy, very pleasant, remembers names, writes thank you notes. But he's now, I think, missing an opportunity now that Trump looks weak at the moment to get out there. And so I think I don't know if he's capable of it. So this means it's all the more important that he get a vice presidential running mate and get them out soon. My guess is he'll maybe pick Kamala Harris, because she was a prosecutor too. So she's tough. She's very articulate. A lot of people don't like her, find her too, I don't know, self-infatuated or something. But she would be, I think, a pretty strong running mate.
Does she, I just want to stay on that pick for 1 second. Does she add anything to the campaign? I mean, listen, she's high energy, very impressive, very articulate, a great attack person. But, you know, versus Amy Klobuchar, who gets you maybe moderate Midwestern voters. Isn't that more important for Joe Biden?
Yeah, well, I think Joe Biden is very concerned about African Americans. It certainly wouldn't help with California. California is going to go overwhelmingly Democratic this time, even more than last time. I think Klobuchar would be good. Also, importantly, Klobuchar is also a former prosecutor, right, which I think would be useful in debates. And she's very forceful. She seems somewhat a little self-infatuated than Kamala Harris, in my opinion. But she's very bright. She's very disciplined. She has a sense of humor, which I think will help her. And she's one of my two native states, Minnesota. And and Minnesota's really it's a purple state, and I think she would appeal to those people too. My hunch, though, between the two, I think Biden will pick Harris.
Gina Raimondo, there's a poll done by a Democratic consultant. We'll take it for what it's worth. It also had a sampling that 84% of those who responded to the survey were landlines. I didn't even know there were that many people who had landlines, but they found 84% of those surveyed had landlines. Did very well in the polling. But is it a fair? She literally won't take a question from the media. I mean, Donald Trump would look better if he didn't.
Yeah, it's not only the first question, but the follow-up question. The follow-up question is very important.
Yeah, it's been very frustrating. I'll give credit to the Department of Health. The Department of Health's been very responsive to questions, and actually, as we've raised issues, have changed policies.
But you get much more information if you have a little bit of a back and forth. Ask a question, then elaborate on it. And to do that, you've got to have direct questioning. The governor, who I think has done a good job in this thing. I think she's done generally a very good job in this thing. Cool, calm, and collected, data-driven. I think taking these questions, as General de Gaulle did, only written form, unduly reduces the amount of the potential for public understanding.
Yeah,
that makes any sense. The ability to elaborate on a policy statement.
This week, GoLocal had a story we have been following, the proposed and still proposed $400 million soccer, hotel, and retail project located in Pawtucket. And if there ever was a community that needs a boost in the arm, it is the city of Pawtucket. Two experts on stadiums weighed in, both I think pretty well respected, and said, listen, this is it was a tough project to begin with. It's almost an impossible project now. Your thoughts on that development? And
I don't think it'll go anywhere in the next 5 years. I think it's sunk. Maybe in the long term. I think there's a lot to be said for a soccer stadium, because I think demographically, soccer is more promising than baseball, especially around here, just the ethnic composition. Having said all that, I think with this crisis, even if we start to come out of it in a year or 2 years, the lingering effects are going to be momentous in the ability for the public to help finance these things. The other thing is, and you and I have talked about this since the Coolidge administration, is that public financing of stadiums never makes much sense from a macroeconomic fiscal standpoint. It might be nice. It's nice. Maybe it's good for the spirits and all that. But do the taxpayers get their money back? No.
The last issue I want to talk about, it's really an issue you've hit on in writing for GoLocal and on your appearances on GoLocal Live was, and this has gone on for at least 24 months. Listen, America is ready. Not only do we have a health crisis, not only do we have an economic crisis tied to the health crisis, but we were also long overdue for a recession, especially tied to corporate debt. Talk a little bit about your thinking.
Yeah, corporate debt is sky high, and unfortunately, too much of the debt was used to pay stock buybacks, to inflate the compensation of senior executives in some of the institutions. The corporate debt overhang is going to make it more difficult to get out of this thing. Whatever the Fed is doing. And by the way, never confuse the Wall Street with what's going on in the general economy. The Fed has increasingly acted as a system for pumping up Wall Street. And so it's very misleading. I mean, the stock market's going to, as J.P. Morgan said, some kid asked him, what will the stock market do? And he said, my boy, it will fluctuate. But I think people get very confused. The Dow goes up 3,000 points or something. That's wonderful, the economy. Often it doesn't mean anything. And this debt overhang, the debt in some form is going to have to be paid back. And that will be a drain on future profits and therefore on the general economy.
I said that. I said that was my last question. I've got one other. You had shared with me a sort of panel discussion, virtual panel discussion, hosted by Columbia Journalism Review with a range of experts in media, talking about what's the future of it. What is the future of media in America today?
Well, I think locally, a lot of this isn't, this is kind of competing with GoLocal, but a lot of it will be nonprofit, NPR, not so much PBS, NPR. There'd be newish internet operations like GoLocal have found ways of making money and providing journalism, both fact and opinion. You have a mixture of fact and opinion, or I'd like to say with people like me, at least it's informed opinion. But I think for legacy newspapers, I don't see where that goes. I think other than the national papers, they'll continue in the great centers like New York, Washington, maybe LA can be brought back. I used to think Chicago, but I wonder about that. So that's kaput. The cost structure is too expensive. The ads are going away. And then broadcast television, hard to see where that goes. Commercial news. I mean, the local news now mostly is the weather and sports. And at the moment, they don't even have sports, really. So it's gloomy. So it's going to be a combination of operations like GoLocal, national publications, and a few nonprofit organizations, NPR, be some local ones too. Vermont Digger, up in Vermont, which tries to do a good job. They're laying off people too, though. So, and you're going to see a tremendous amount of experimentation going on in the next 5 years.
Listen, it's the time to experiment. There's no barrier. Anybody can do anything.
So, the sky's the limit, really.
Absolutely. Listen, Bob Whitcomb, thank you as always. Please read Bob's column this weekend on GoLocal Live. It appears on Sundays. For everybody else, I want to thank you. We do have a significant story breaking in the next couple hours. Stay tuned. We will have an e-blast out. For everyone else, 2:30, Governor Raimondo will do her briefing again. She does not allow reporters to ask questions or follow-up questions so that the public can hear it. Everybody else, please stay safe and enjoy this beautiful weekend, 6 to 8 feet apart, according to Dr. Fine. Enjoy the weekend. Thanks so much.